Before the video starts, I want to give a massive thank you to everyone who saw the last video. I can't believe the support you guys left on that. I still read through the comments, so if you guys are still commenting on it, I am keeping up with it. I am curious on what your thoughts are on the DLC. But anyways, thank you again. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Now, I want to preface that I absolutely love this game. This is the only game that has consistently had me coming back for 10 years straight, and it's the only game that's ever managed to do that. But I think we can all admit that Destiny just isn't what it used to be. I'm not one of those guys that's just going to sit here and say, well, actually, I've been around since the D1 beta, because I just haven't. I started playing Destiny towards the end of 2015 into the beginning of 2016, between the launch of Taken King and Rise of Iron, and the only reason I ever got into the game was because my dad had already been playing for around a year. So it's safe to say I've been playing this game for a long time now, and I wanted to just talk about the unfortunate state the game is in and why I don't think I'll be returning in the future. After the Final Shape concluded the Light and Darkness saga, I feel like that was where the conclusion of the game should have been. However, instead of pouring their hard-earned cash from the £80 DLCs, constant microtransactions, and the Bungie store items shoved down our throats, I'm looking at you, raid pins. Instead of using that to make Destiny 3, we got Marathon. That might not even release due to all the stolen artwork controversy, which I'm not going to discuss here. But as I was saying, this was a clear and happy endpoint for everyone and a beautiful conclusion to an incredible 10-year journey. However, they decided to continue the Destiny universe and start a brand new multi-year saga. Yes, I did say multi-year saga. This left a lot of people umming and ahhing about whether this was something that the people wanted or not, which the majority of people by this point already wanted Destiny 3. Roll around to July 15th, 2025 and oh boy, the Edge of Fate had dropped and it was lackluster, to say the least. I won't go over my personal thoughts as I have a whole video dedicated to that in the description if you want to see that. But now I'll get on to why I am personally quitting Destiny. This game has completely run out of content for me to play. I have been continuously logging on and floating in orbit for about 10 minutes before I inevitably give up and jump off again. There is nothing this game is offering me right now that has me excited to jump on. Yes, you could argue, well, we have a new raid, we can farm for those new weapons. Correct, you're right, we do have a new raid. But also, if I want to get tier 5 weapons for this raid, I have to clear it 25 times to claim a triumph that awards this kind of loot, which is just something I really don't want to do anymore. I thought that the higher tiered weapons and armor would be a really good change and a change the game needed. However, after playing around 20 hours of the new DLC, I have had zero effort to grind any of this gear at all. The grind feels too long and way too strenuous. This is coming from a guy who's full-time employed and has pretty much zero time to play during the week. But when I do decide to play, the last thing I want to be doing is logging on to grind the same content I've been grinding for the past 4 or 5 years. We have gone from having 2 raids and 2 dungeons per year to 1 raid and 1 dungeon per year, which doesn't sound like a major difference, but it really is. We've gone from splitting the year into quarterly content drops to 1 every 6 months, which unfortunately isn't enough for me to keep playing, and I'm sorry if that sounds selfish and greedy, but it's the truth. There isn't enough content being dropped anymore to satisfy me as a player. Like I said, that may sound selfish and greedy, but it is just the truth. Seasons have been retired. We've now gone from 1 big expansion a year to 2 smaller sized expansions a year with a single major update a couple months after the initial release of the expansion. Don't get me wrong, I was bored of the seasons formula a long time ago, but this new formula is just not working for me. And yes, I know I'm being a little bit preemptive when it comes to this opinion because we haven't had the second expansion drop yet. However, I just don't think this is going to be something I enjoy. I remember us launching into Forsaken the day it dropped and being overwhelmed by how many exotics had been added during the update. We had well over 20 exotic weapons and 15 exotic armor pieces, which is 5 per character. You want to know how many we got in the Edge of Fate? We got 3 weapons, 1 being the raid weapon, and 3 armor pieces, 1 per class. Now I know it's unfair to compare the 2 expansions due to Destiny 2 still being pretty fresh and bare bones going into Forsaken, but to have an expansion you pay £40 for and to get the bare minimum of content is just diabolical and almost inexcusable. I'm going to briefly talk about the enemy variety in the game now. I can't tell you how bored I am of fighting the same shit all the time. I get it. We've been playing the game for a very long time now, and of course, we're gonna get bored of the same enemy races over and over again. But for me, it's just got to the point of where can the game go from here? When they added the new race, the Dread, during the final shape, I thought this was great. I thought it would be the mix-up we needed to keep the game fresh, but unfortunately it just wasn't the case. They just became the most annoying race of enemies we had ever fought, with Strand Scions pulling you towards them all the time, and then you have Husks charging at you, meleeing you to death in like 3 hits. And don't even get me started on those god-forsaken bats. Despite all of Bungie's efforts to keep the game afloat and to keep it standing on its own 2 legs, the longer the game goes on, the more it's going to struggle. The aim for Bungie is to keep all of us playing for as long as humanly possible, retaining the playtime, player numbers, and players' retention. But with the activities that are currently in the game and the way power leveling is such a chore to do, it's pretty hard for people to keep grinding. I thought the change to the new leveling system was great, I really did, but over time it's just proven to be worse than I initially thought it to be. Someone over on Twitter has just hit 450 power this morning, the power cap. And now they have nothing to do. What are they going to do? Farm tier 5 gear that they probably already have? Farm weapons for roles that they probably already have? There is just nothing for them to grind for now. I don't know, man. It just seems incredibly pointless to go anywhere above 200, especially with the time I have during the week to play the game. The last thing I want to talk about briefly are the contest raid completions and the cheating that went on during this event. I am sick and tired of hearing about cheaters in this game that has an anti-cheat software that clearly doesn't work. This isn't only related to the contest raid either. I have seen clips from streamers and people on Twitter of people flying around in PvP games with infinite heavy and infinite RPMs, just clearing through some of the top players for these players to still have access to their accounts days later. I don't know how this stuff goes under the radar for so long. I don't know if something has been done about the contest raid cheaters, but if it hasn't, Bungie really needs to start slamming down that ban hammer as soon as possible. And I'm not only talking about the people who were doing the carries for the people who they were with. The people who were stupid enough to play with someone blatantly cheating need to be banned too. Again, I don't think this is a rare opinion. I don't think this is a hot take. I think everybody who was a participant during this contest raid who was playing with a cheater needs to be banned. It was around 70% of contest clears were cheated. That is a diabolical number, and the fact that that went under the radar for days and days is just inexcusable. Surely Bungie has the statistics to find out whether these people were cheating or not. Again, I don't know if Bungie have done anything about this already, but if it hasn't been done, it certainly needs to be. Now, I know I probably missed a ton of stuff during this video of reasons why I am stopping playing Destiny, and I do apologize for that. There are probably 1,000 more reasons, but these are the ones that kind of stand out to me. Overall, Destiny for me just isn't what it used to be, and I think I'm okay with that. The truth is, I just don't have the time anymore to pour thousands of hours into a game that clearly has no love going into it. For those of you that still love the game, I am super happy for you guys. I really am. I wish I enjoyed it as much as you do, but that's just how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. With that being said, I may pop back for Renegades later on when that launches, as I did already purchase it way back when, but I wouldn't hold out hope if I'm honest. This does mean that I'm going to be veering away from Destiny content, so a lot of you who have viewed my last video and maybe even this one may not see me again, as I'll be uploading totally different content to what is catered to you guys. But either way, I appreciate you guys coming into the videos and all the support you guys have been leaving. It's been a little bit overwhelming because, I mean, 2,000 views isn't a lot for you guys, but for me, like, as a small content creator, that's massive. Like, that's huge. So yeah, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it, and I may or may not see you in some other videos.